There was a report card. You remember the format: subject, grade, teacher comment, repeat. Mathematics, English, science, history, physical education, which apparently required formal assessment. Every subject that would matter in your education, graded and returned with the institutional confidence of a system that knew exactly what you needed to learn. Money was never on it, not once. Across 12 years of formal education, thousands of hours of structured learning, not a single lesson on income management, compound interest, debt mechanics, or the financial decisions that would govern approximately 80% of your adult stress. You learned to solve for X. Nobody taught you what 19% annual interest actually costs on a $4,000 credit card balance, which is $760 a year, leaving your account without producing anything. The report card wasn't incomplete by accident. Every skill that matters in your adult life was taught to you by someone, except one. And the one they skipped explains more about where you are financially right now than any decision you've ever made. Here is the belief that was running your financial life before you examined it: that money is a personality trait, that some people are good with money and some people aren't, and that this goodness or lack of it is something you either possess or you don't, distributed at birth like eye color or height, fixed and largely immune to effort. The person who manages money well has it. The person who arrives at the 25th of the month with $23.47 doesn't. Simple, permanent, not particularly useful as a framework, but very common as a belief. This belief does something specific and expensive to the people who carry it. It makes every financial mistake feel like evidence of character rather than evidence of a skill gap. When you overspend, the belief says this is who you are. When the account resets every month without building anything, the belief says this is what you do. When someone else's financial life looks structurally different from yours, the belief says they have something you don't. The belief transforms a learnable problem into an identity problem, and identity problems feel permanent in a way that skill gaps don't. Here is the reframe that changes the entire story. Money is a skill, specifically, measurably, demonstrably a skill, one that produces better outcomes when applied with knowledge and worse outcomes when applied without it, in exactly the same way that driving, cooking, and writing produce better outcomes after instruction than before. If money is a personality trait, you either have it or you don't. If money is a skill, you're simply at an earlier stage of learning it. Those two frameworks produce completely different financial lives. The skill has components, specific, nameable, learnable components, not a vague disposition toward financial responsibility, but a set of distinct capabilities that each produce measurable outcomes when acquired and measurable costs when absent. The first component is awareness, knowing exactly where every dollar goes, not approximately. This sounds simple. It isn't practiced. Most people manage money by feel, which is the financial equivalent of cooking by smell. It produces inconsistent results and no ability to diagnose what went wrong. The second is delayed gratification, not as a personality virtue, but as a practiced behavior. The capacity to redirect $400 this month toward a future outcome rather than a present experience. Applied consistently at age 22, this behavior produces $47,000 by age 29 at a 9% average return. Applied for the first time at age 32, the same behavior produces $23,000 by age 39. Same action, different timing, $24,000 difference from one component of the skill applied 7 years earlier. The third is compounding literacy, understanding that money grows not linearly but exponentially, and that the mathematical advantage of earliness is irreplaceable by the intensity of lateness. The fourth is behavioral awareness, the ability to identify the emotional triggers that produce financial decisions and interrupt the 4-second impulse purchase before it becomes a $340 monthly food delivery total. None of these require exceptional intelligence. They require exposure, the same exposure that taught you to read, drive, and cook. The only difference is that nobody scheduled the lesson. There is a specific moment, not a gradual awakening. A moment. A book opened to a page with a compound interest calculation that you ran with your own numbers and produced a result that required reading twice. A conversation where someone explained that $500 a month invested from age 22 to 65 at a 9% average return produces $3.1 million, and that the same $500 invested from age 32 produces $1.6 million, not from working harder or investing better, from starting 10 years earlier, a number seen clearly for the first time, attached to a timeline that included your current age, producing a gap between the two outcomes that could not be attributed to luck or talent or circumstances. The moment lands differently for different people, but it always lands the same way, not as excitement, as reorientation. The framework shifts. Money stops feeling like a weather system, something that happens to you, that you navigate or endure or occasionally benefit from, and starts feeling like a system with rules. Rules that reward understanding and penalize ignorance with mathematical precision and zero personal malice. And in that reorientation, something else happens. Every past financial mistake recontextualizes. The credit card balance that felt like a character failure, the savings account that never grew, the raise that disappeared into a lifestyle that expanded to match it. None of it was failure. It was unskilled performance. And unskilled performance has exactly one solution. The entry-level financial skill is the most uncomfortable one, not because it requires difficult action, because it requires honest looking, sitting with last month's bank statement, not the approximate version you carry in your head, the actual one, and tracing every transaction with the specific attention of someone who has decided to stop managing money by feel. Last month's food delivery total, $340, not a rough sense of quite a bit, $340. 11 orders, 3 of them placed between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on weekdays when the day had been difficult, and the alternative required more than the evening had available. Subscriptions running in the background, $127 across 7 services, 4 of which haven't been actively used in the past 60 days, each one individually beneath the threshold of cancellation effort. Collectively, $127 a month, $1,524 a year for services used occasionally or not at all. Impulse purchases under $50, $290, 14 transactions, most of them made in the specific window between a difficult moment and an evening that needed improving. Total leaving your account in decisions averaging 4 seconds each, $757. This number is not a judgment, it is data. The first data a skilled financial practitioner works with. The number tells you where the skill gap is. The awareness of the gap is the beginning of the skill. Skilled money management starts with a number so specific it's uncomfortable, and the discomfort is the first lesson. Here is the skill that separates 2 financially identical people over a decade. Same income, same city, same expenses, same starting point. One acquires the compounding skill at 22, the other acquires it at 32. Both invest $400 a month from the day they understand what they're doing. At 29, 7 years in, the person who started at 22 has a portfolio of approximately $47,000 at a 9% average annual return. The person who started at 32 has $0 because they haven't started yet. At 39, both have been investing for 7 years. The person who started at 22 now has $117,000. Their original $47,000 has been compounding for an additional decade, while the second person's portfolio, started at 32, holds $47,000. The gap is $70,000 from identical monthly contributions, from the same returns, from one variable when the skill was acquired. This is not an argument for panic if you're 32. It is an argument for precision about what compounding actually rewards. It doesn't reward intelligence. It doesn't reward effort, discipline, or the quality of your investment selection. It rewards one thing: the date you started, the calendar, not the capability. Every year you spend without understanding this component of the skill is a year of compounding running without you. Not against you, the market isn't hostile. Simply without you. Accumulating for someone who understood the tool earlier, building toward the $117,000 that requires no additional effort from the person who simply started when the skill was first available to them, compounding rewards earliness above everything else. And every year you don't understand this skill is a year of it running on the wrong side of your life. Two people, both 35, both earned an average of $52,000 a year across their careers. Both started with identical financial positions at 22. The difference: one acquired the financial skill at 24. The other acquired it at 34. At 35, the person who learned at 24 has an investment portfolio holding $87,000, built from $400 monthly contributions across 11 years, compounded at 9% average annual return. They own a rental property purchased at 29 with a $48,000 deposit saved over 3 years of redirected lifestyle spending, currently cash flowing $620 net per month. They carry zero high-interest debt. Their monthly financial surplus is $840, automated into the investment account before it becomes available to spend. At 35, the person who learned at 34 is 12 months into the journey. The investment account holds $5,200. The rental deposit is being saved. The credit card balance, $6,400 at 19% annual interest, costing $1,216 a year in interest payments that produce nothing, is being eliminated. The skill has been acquired. The compounding that ran between age 22 and 34 without direction has not been recovered. It cannot be recovered, not with urgency, not with higher contributions, not with better investment selection. The gap between those two financial lives at 35 is not income, not intelligence, not opportunity. It is 11 years of skill application at different starting ages, and 11 years of compounding once passed cannot be returned by anything except a time machine nobody has built. Go back to the report card. Every subject graded, every skill assessed by an institution that had decided, collectively and deliberately, what you needed to learn to function in the world. The curriculum was designed with genuine care for your development. It produced genuine competence in areas it addressed. It never addressed this one, not because the people who designed it were negligent, because the skill of managing money was considered for reasons that made sense in a different era and make less sense now, a family responsibility rather than an institutional one. Something passed down through household example. Something absorbed through observation of parents who themselves absorbed it, through observation of grandparents who were also never taught it formally. The report card's omission was not your fault. What happens next is, because the skill is learnable. It was always learnable. The books exist, the calculators are free, the compound interest tables are available to anyone with a device and 12 minutes of honest attention. The lesson that was never scheduled is schedulable by you at whatever age you are currently, with whatever financial position you currently hold. If you are 22, the compounding advantage is fully intact. The $400 a month that starts this month and runs to 65 at 9% average return produces $3.1 million. The lesson, acquired now, costs nothing except the awareness that you were never taught it and the decision to close the gap deliberately. If you are 32, the 11-year head start is gone. It is not coming back, and grieving it is an unproductive use of the time that remains. The $400 a month that starts this month and runs to 65 produces $1.6 million. That is not a consolation prize. If you are 42, the math is different, and the urgency is higher, and the number at the end is smaller, and it is still completely worth doing, because the alternative is 23 more years of unskilled financial performance producing the same outcome it has been producing. The cost of the missing lesson, running in your account right now, now in the form of $400 to $700 a month in unskilled financial decisions and compound interest paid on the wrong side in the investment account that doesn't exist yet is the most expensive course you never enrolled in. Enroll now. The report card never had a money section. That wasn't your fault. What happens next is the skill is learnable, the lesson is available, and the compounding starts the day the skill does.